Do you realize that you were educated to be useful to build somebody else's wealth? And the system worked perfectly. Think about that for a moment, because everything I'm going to share with you today starts right there. You spent 12 years in school approximately, maybe more, and in all that time, not once did anyone sit down and explain how money actually works, how the wealth actually builds, how the people who seem to retire comfortably or retire early or just stop worrying about money, how they actually got there. They taught you history, they taught you algebra, they taught you how to write an essay, but they didn't teach you the difference between an asset and a liability. They didn't teach you how inflation quietly eats your savings. They didn't teach you that the tax system is a rewards program, and most people are playing it without knowing the actual rules. And that's not an accident, but I'll come back to that. Here's what I really want to talk to you about today, because here's the part that nobody says out loud. Your realtor probably doesn't know this stuff either. Think about what school actually trained you to do. Show up on time, follow instructions, answer questions the way someone else defined as correct, work hard, get good grades, get a good job. That's not education, that's orientation. It's preparing you to be a reliable participant in a system that needs reliable participants. And look, I'm not here to tell you that that is evil. The people who taught you weren't doing anything wrong. They taught you what they were given to teach. But here's the uncomfortable truth. A system designed to produce good employees has absolutely no reason to teach you how to stop being one. It doesn't teach you that your salary, however good it is the minimum that your employer calculated they needed to pay you to keep you from leaving. It's not a reflection of your value. It's the cost of your compliance. It doesn't teach you that the person collecting your rent while you sleep is building wealth in a way that your salary, no matter how big, structurally cannot match. It doesn't teach you that inflation is essentially a tax on people who save money in cash and a gift to people who own real assets. And it absolutely does not teach you that real estate, the thing that most Canadians already believe in, the thing 87% of people say is their preferred way to build wealth, is sitting right in front of most people their entire adult lives. And most of them never use it the way it was meant to be used. My name is Gord. I'm a veteran real estate investor and co-founder of the Real Estate Investment Institute. And this is a conversation I wish someone had with me 40 years ago. Now, here's where I'm going to say something that might ruffle some feathers. I want to talk about realtors. Because if anyone should understand the wealth building power of real estate, it's the people who work in real estate every single day, right? Except most don't. And that's not me being harsh. That's just being honest. Most realtors got into real estate because they love houses, or they love people, or both. And those are generally good reasons. But the training they receive, the licensing, the continuing education, the brokerage onboarding, almost none of it teaches them anything about the financial architecture of what they're actually selling. They know square footage, they know market trends, they know how to negotiate a deal and close a transaction. Ask them to explain the up to 8 ways real estate builds wealth simultaneously, and I mean walk a client through all 8 clearly in plain language. Most of them have never had that conversation. Ask them why a client who buys their first investment property before they buy their primary residence might actually end up wealthier 10 years from now. Silence. And I want to be clear. This isn't criticism of realtors as people. It's a criticism of the system that trained them to sell houses and called it enough. Because here's the irony. The realtor who only thinks of their work as transaction to transaction, commission to commission, that realtor is on the exact same hamster wheel as the salaried employee they're helping to buy the house. Trading time for money. No assets working for them. No real financial architecture underneath the income. The house the realtor helps somebody else buy, that's building that client's wealth. Meanwhile, the realtor who goes looking for the next deal, that's the gap. And it matters enormously. Let me give you the financial education that nobody gave you. Here's what makes real estate unlike any other asset class available to regular people. When you own investment real estate, there are up to 8 separate profit centers working for you simultaneously. Not 1, not 4, 8. People who own real estate only understand 1 or 2 of them, which means most people are leaving 6 or 7 wealth building mechanisms completely untouched. Let me walk you through all 8. Number 1, mortgage paydown. This is a forced savings plan because every month you pay your mortgage, a portion goes to interest, but the other portion goes to principal, which is paying down the mortgage, which means you're building equity every single month. Number 2, appreciation, and I mean market appreciation. Real estate increases in value over time, historically and consistently over long horizons. And in markets like the GTA, dramatically so. Wealth building while you sleep. Number 3 is forced appreciation. Unlike stocks, real estate value can be deliberately improved. A strategic renovation, a rezoning, a basement suite, or better tenant mix. You create equity through action, not just by waiting. Number 4, tax advantages. Investors deduct expenses, claim depreciation, and structure income in ways salaried employees cannot. You spend before you're taxed. Employees are taxed before they spend. Same system, radically different outcomes. Next is leverage. A bank will lend you 80% of a real estate's assets value. A 10% increase in property value doesn't grow your equity 10%, it can grow 50% or more on your actual cash invested. That's the mathematics of ownership. Number 6, tax advantages, specifically the principal residence exemption. In Canada, capital gains on your primary residence are tax-free. Used intentionally, this is one of the most powerful tax shelters available to an ordinary person, and most Canadians use it exactly once. Number 7, equity compounding. The equity built through all 7 profit centers becomes deployable capital, available to refinance, to leverage into the next property, and then repeat the entire cycle. Wealth doesn't just grow, it compounds. And next is cash flow, which is the wild card here and can be accessed should a secondary suite unit be created in a home and obviously in a rental property. Monthly income left over after all expenses, like mortgage, taxes, and insurance and maintenance. Your tenant pays you to own an asset. It runs whether you're working, sleeping, or on vacation. 8 profit centers simultaneously on one single asset. Now, here's the question I want you to sit with. How many of those 8 is your job doing for you? If you're a salaried employee, the answer is probably 1, a weak version of cash flow that stops the moment you stop working. If you're a realtor living commission to commission, same answer. Real estate, investment real estate, used intentionally, is the only vehicle most regular people have access to that does all 8 at once. You don't need to be wealthy to start. You need to understand how it works, and you need someone in your corner who understands it too. Now, I want to tell you what a great realtor actually is. Not what they're licensed to do, what they actually are at their best. A great realtor is the person who sits across the table from a young couple buying their first home and says, "This is more than a home. This is the first step in your financial story. Let's talk about how to use it." A great realtor is the person who helps the client understand that the equity sitting in their primary residence isn't just a number on a statement, it's not a trophy, it's deployable capital. It's a tool to use to build wealth. A great realtor sees a client's real estate not as a transaction, but as a chapter in a longer wealth building strategy. And they know enough to have that conversation credibly. Most people interact with a realtor at some point at the most financially significant moments of their lives. The purchase of their first home, the decision to upsize or downsize, the question of whether to rent out a property or sell it. Those moments are inflection points. Small decisions made with slightly more knowledge can compound in the right direction over decades. But that only happens if the person in the room knows enough to guide it. Most people sit across from a realtor and get transactional advice for what should be a transformational moment. The financial education that most of us never got, it's not hidden. It's not secret. It's available. It just wasn't offered. The wealth building power of real estate isn't reserved for people who already have money or already have connections. It's available to anyone who understands the mechanics and takes the first step. And the realtors who understand this, who can actually sit with a client and talk about the 8 profit centers, about equity, about strategy, about building something, those realtors just don't close more deals. They change lives. They become the most trusted person in the room at the most important moments. If you're a regular person watching this, start asking better questions of the people advising you. Ask your realtor what they know about investment real estate. Ask them how a rental property builds wealth. The answer will tell you everything that you need to know about whether they're the right guide for your financial journey. If you're a realtor watching this, I want to challenge you, not as a criticism, as an invitation. You're sitting on one of the most powerful wealth-building tools in the world. You touch it every single day. Your clients need you to understand it more deeply than you currently do. And not so you can sell more houses, so you can actually change someone's financial life. Because guess what? Their financial planner won't do it. They have no vested interest in real estate. Their mortgage broker or bank won't do it. They call, say, 6 months before renewal time to get you into a new mortgage. But the realtor can be the advisor to their clients in using the most leverageable asset that the client is already sitting on and use it as the catalyst in a client's journey to wealth. But most don't know the steps or even know how to have the conversation. Why? Because most people haven't been taught how to do it yet. And I'm talking realtors and the general public. And that's exactly what the Real Estate Investment Specialist designation was built for. To give realtors the tools and the language and the framework to have that conversation with confidence. It's the financial education the licensing system never provided, but specifically for real estate professionals who are already ready to think differently about the value that they bring. If this resonated with you, like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. A friend who's been on the fence about investing. A realtor that you know who's ready to think differently. More content like this is coming. Subscribe if you want to be part of the conversation. See you next time.